Welcome everybody. I'm Stephanie. I am so glad to be with you on this journey, finishing up this series of yoga for low back pain. We started off together in the first video, just finding a little bit of gentle movement, warming up the body, and that's a great flow for you to take, especially if you're on a day when you wake up and the back is beginning to feel inflamed or things are just really feeling tight. Once that low back starts to loosen up, and we find a little bit of movement, then moving on to the second and third videos where we're finding some strength. We're wanting to build some stability to hold the back in its proper alignment. So we worked through those videos together, finding some strength, and then we're ending this series back where we started, stretching back out again. So we're wanting to stretch, to let go of those tight areas, strengthen to hold in stability the correct alignment, and then we're wanting to stretch again to let go of any tension or anything that we've created in our bodies through flowing. So join me on your mat, wherever you're at. This is another great little flow just to find some movement in the body. So you can even jump right to number 4 on days that the body is feeling a little bit tweaky. So just finding a little bit of movement, a little bit of engagement, finding a little bit more integrity through the arms. So making sure the shoulders stay down and back away from the ears. We're going to find a little bit of traction here. Left foot's going to reach back behind you. You can stay down on both hands, or you can reach the right arm forward. Belly button's pulling into spine, keeping the integrity. So you're not rocking side to side and pressing really hard down into that left arm. Imagine splitting your body straight down the middle. The left half is going back and the right half is going forward. So you're giving yourself traction, but instead of stretching front and back, you're stretching the opposite sides. Keep reaching, reaching, reaching. Back through the left toes, forward through the right hand. And then with control, left knee comes down, right palm comes down, other side. Right foot reaches back behind you, keeping integrity in the arms. Don't let those pesky shoulders come up by the ears. You can stay there. Core is pulling in. Or you can reach your left arm forward. Split your body down through the middle. Right side's reaching back, left side's reaching forward. Keep lengthening, lengthening, lengthening. And with control, releasing, right knee down, left palm down. Beginning to take a little bit of movement through the hips if that feels good, releasing the low back. Walking your hands back towards your knees, cross the feet from underneath you, and bring those feet out from underneath you. So I like to always come to a seated position, crossing the ankles and bringing the feet out, because a lot of times when we have a seat, if we're dealing with pain in one side or the other of the low back, we have a tendency to bring the feet out to the side, and then that continues to crunch that area. So you're crunching that area depending on which side the feet are going to. So instead, keeping that length, crossing the ankles, and then the feet come out from underneath you. Finding a wide-legged seated position, but really noticing where the thighs, the toes are pointed. So toes are pointed up towards the ceiling, ankles and hips all in line. So the toes aren't rolling back. You're not rolling the thighs back. You're not rolling them in. You're wanting to keep this length, engaging the toes so that the legs are nice and engaged. Inhale, find your length, keep that length, and then begin to walk the hands forward. It may just be a tiny, tiny bit. You may be like, ooh, I really feel it on the inner thighs there already. That's okay. But taking it a tiny bit at a time. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, release the inner thighs as you're walking the palms forward. Just taking it a little bit at a time again. With each exhale, maybe reaching further forward, coming down to the forearms. If you have very flexible or open inner thighs or hips, you might make it all the way down to the floor. But just being okay with wherever you're at, really sending the breath to the inner thigh. And then once you've found your edge, you're not allowing the thighs to roll in or out, but just releasing the toes so that the kneecaps can relax. Because a lot of times when we reach those toes up to the ceiling, we really engage the kneecaps, and we want to find a little bit more length. So toes are still in line with the ankles and the hips, but we're just releasing the toes so that the kneecaps can relax, and we can let a little bit more length come into the legs. On your next inhale, walk the hands back up. You're going to bring the soles of the feet together, letting them open up like a book. Let gravity do its thing. So instead of pressing through the knees, can you just allow gravity to open up those knees, to open the feet up like a book, grabbing on the front of the feet. Inhale, lengthen the spine. One more time, reach the heart forward. It can be very, very tiny. It doesn't have to be big. Taking it a little bit at a time. Softening the legs, softening the knees. Then inhale, come all the way back up. Right foot's going to stay in, left foot's going to extend back open. Bring your right foot in just a little bit closer. Toes are going to point back up towards the ceiling. We're going to take a little QL stretch down into the right side of the low back. This is a muscle that doesn't get stretched very, very often. On your inhale, arms are going to reach up overhead. On your exhale, left hand's going to make a connection down. It might just be the shin. It might be the ankle. It might be the toe. But keep reaching up and over. So it's not a forward bend. It's a big side bend. You're sending breath and length down into the right side of the low back, the QL muscles there. Again, right kneecap stays down. Don't let that sucker pop up to give yourself more length, because that's not the point. The point is not giving depth of pose. We want to really keep the integrity and send the breath down into the right QL. Yoga's not pretty, guys. It's messy. It looks very different for each person. Can you release here just a little bit more? Doesn't mean depth of pose. It just means softening those muscles in the right side. Inhale, come back up. And exhale, hands down through heart center. We're going to switch the feet. Left foot's going to come in. Right foot's going to come out. Toes up towards the ceiling on the right side. Inhale, arms reach up overhead. On your exhale, keep that length. So I'm not dumping straight down. Keeping the length. It's up and over. Finding that connection on this side. Shin, ankle, toe. Left armpit's reaching up towards the ceiling. Big side bend. So just as much as I'm reaching up and over, I'm softening through the left hip, through the left knee. So I'm not just letting things open up naturally with the breath, with the exhale. One more breath here. Inhale, come back up to center. And exhale, hands down through heart center. Right foot comes back in. And you're going to reach those feet out in front of you. If you were blessed with extra fluff, as I was, moving that fluff out of the way so you can feel those sits bones down in the very base of the glute, making a connection down to the mat. So you don't want to keep all that fluff underneath the sits bones. So if you need to, moving it out of the way. Everybody's different. Just because you have fluff, it doesn't mean anything. You can still be strong underneath all of that fluff, whether it's in the glute, whether it's in the belly, wherever it is. And then softening the knees, toes are still pointed up towards the ceiling. And notice when I do that, my spine kind of comes up a little bit more. I find more length in the torso. And then beginning to this time reach forward. When we're sending side to side and then the breath into the QLs, now we're changing that direction and sending the breath forward into the very center of the spine. We're lengthening. So drag yourself forward, finding that connection, thighs, ankles, toes. Keep reaching the heart forward, length, 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 length. You can keep the soft bend in the knees. You can straighten them. But when you're as far forward as you can go, then relax the neck. Doesn't matter where the head lands. The nose may go to the knee. It may not, but don't force that connection. One more cycle of breath. Then pull the belly button in, release your grasp, and roll back up, one vertebrae at a time. Deep, deep bend in the knees. Feet can come down. All four corners of the toes can stay lifted. It's up to you. And then pull the core in, lengthen the spine. Hands can stay by the hips. They can reach out in front of you, but keep the core pulled in as you lower yourself all the way down to your back. So you're not curling down, you're lengthening the spine. So everything's hitting at the same time. Tailbone all the way up to the crown. Once you're all the way down, hands come down by your sides, walk your feet in, ankles underneath your knees, knees as wide as your hips. Keeping this integrity of the knees in line with the hips, gaze is up towards the ceiling. On your inhale, lift your hips, lift your core. We're setting up bridge pose. Pause here for a moment. Notice how that feels on the inner thighs. Did you lose the integrity? So we're still keeping a little bit of engagement, inner thighs. Yes, we're still working. It's not just release because we want to protect those areas, keep the proper alignment. You can stay there if that is enough. If you'd like to, you can lift the heart, roll the shoulders underneath. You can clasp the fingers. You can reach for the ankles, but keeping length in the neck so you're not looking down at your belly or your knees. Feel the engagement of the inner thighs. One more breath. Keep lifting up, 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 up. And with your next exhale, coming back down one vertebrae at a time, you're just controlling those muscles, the strength. Once you're all the way back down, knees are going to come over the belly. Grab right below the kneecaps, rock side to side, massage out the low back. Ooh, I went too far. If you rock onto your side, that's okay. Maybe you make little circles with the knees, just massaging out the low back. And then keeping those knees over your belly, you're going to reach the feet up towards the ceiling. There's a soft bend still in the knees. Widen the stance. And then we're going to take happy baby here. So you can grab the inside, the outside of the shins, the calves, the ankles, the feet. But neck stays connected down to the mat. You're not lifting it up, creating more arch in the back. And then with your exhale, slight pull. Legs are dead weight. You can stay here, happy baby. Maybe your baby rocks side to side. Or maybe you extend one leg at a time, stretching out the inner thighs a little bit more. Ninja baby. Then release your grasp. Feet are going to come back down to the mat, hands by your side. With your exhale, both knees are going to go over to the right. You're sending some breath down into the left hip, the left psoas, back through center, other side. Knees go to the left with your exhale. Inhale back through center. And then cross your right ankle over your left thigh. Engage the toes, toes up towards the ceiling, pressing the knee away. We're coming into a reclining pigeon here. And then if the foot stays down, just lifting it a little bit, or you can grab behind the hamstring to the front of the shin. And then with your exhale, rock to the left hip. You're going to stop when you begin to feel that stretch down into the right glute, to the right piriformis. but you're sending it down deep into the center of the muscle. Letting that muscle lengthen, creating space. Then right hip comes back down, left foot comes back down, or right foot comes back down. Other side, left ankle over your right knee, engage the toes, left knee presses away. Your choice, either right foot lifts a little bit, grab behind the hamstring to the front of the shin. With your exhale, tiny shift in your weight to your right hip, stopping when you feel the length. Again, remember that. We're not shooting for the edge at the very, very beginning. We're taking these baby steps to release a little bit more. I think a lot of times we don't even realize how much we're holding our muscles, how much tension we're holding in our bodies. Because when we mentally start looking into those parts, we're going, oh my gosh, I didn't even know. I was holding that engagement there the entire time. And then when we let it go, we start to think, I wonder, is that what was causing some of the pain? Because I was holding this space, thinking I'm protecting my body. Left hip's going to come back down, right foot comes back down, left foot comes back down, and the left leg extends down all the way to the ground. Right knee is going to bend. Legs are just kind of dead weight right now, so there's really not much engagement in the legs. Grab right below the right kneecap. Inhale to prepare. Exhale, pull it in. You're compressing the right side belly, but the belly stays soft. Left hand stays with your right knee. Right palm opens to the side, fully extended, or you can cactus the arm. With your exhale, right knee to the left hips walking underneath you to the right. We want to keep this twist in the belly. So it's not a hip twist. You can continue to look to the ceiling. You can look to your right hand. But if the right shoulder's really coming off the ground or you're rotating up towards the ceiling, let it connect back down and maybe just letting the knee come up a little bit. So it doesn't have to go all the way over to the side. You're finding, again, the edge for your body. Yes, she's a broken record. She says this a lot. Then on your next inhale, right knee comes back. And exhale, right leg goes long. Other side, bend your left knee. Grab right below your left kneecap. Inhale to prepare. Exhale, pull it in. Compress the left side belly. Right hand stays with your left knee. Left palm opens to the side. With your exhale, left knee to the right, walking your right hip underneath you. Deep belly twist. Fully aware, lengthening through the left side body. But softening also through the right side body. Right glute is releasing. Right knee is releasing. You can look to the ceiling, to your left arm. Then gently inhale, making your way back to center. Left knee comes back. Right knee is going to come up to join it, and both feet are reaching up towards the ceiling. Waterfall. Oh my gosh. Beautiful pose. You can take some motion through the toes if that feels good. The low back's really kind of talking. You can grab a block or a pillow or a blanket and place it underneath the hips there, underneath the spine, so you're creating a little bit of cushion, a little bit of lift. Just taking some of the pressure off the low back. So you can do this with a block or without. But again, can you soften? Can you mentally let all of the energy come back down through the soles of your feet, through your legs, through your knees, through the hips, and send all that energy, all that length into your low back. So in setting up for your final Shavasana, knees bend, feet come back down to the mat. So low back is still talking. Keep the knees bent. Bring the knees together and the feet apart. Hands can come to the belly. They can come to the heart. They can just open up to the side. Or you can extend the legs down in front of you, corpse pose. Take a big breath in through the nose. Fill up the whole body. Send space into the vertebrae. And exhale through the mouth. One more time. Fill up. Send space into the body. And exhale. Melt back down. Just letting everything soften. Actively just bringing healing thoughts and energy into your body. I know it's really hard when the low back is hurting or it's tight. Sometimes we get stuck in this vicious cycle of I'm going to be in pain forever, I'm going to feel like this forever. And that almost perpetuates the pain. Because again, we're holding those muscles and those things, those thoughts tight in our bodies. And it's creating extra pressure that doesn't need to be there. Maybe we made some bad choices that led to the low back hurting. We were still for too long, didn't get up and move. Maybe we weren't even aware of our bodies before. So I had an interesting conversation with my sister last night, and I was talking to her how for the past year or so, I've been dealing with not pain from my herniation. If you know my story to yoga, I found yoga through an accident where I hurt my back. So it wasn't the side that I hurt that was still hurting, but it was the opposite side for the past year. Just every now and then it begins to act up. And I was saying, well, maybe this is just something I have to deal with for the rest of my life. And she said something very, very interesting to me. She said, you need to give yourself time. You need to give yourself space to allow the body to heal. You've been moving for the majority of your life in a way that wasn't healthy. I wasn't even aware of my body. I didn't know some of the ways that I was walking or bending and doing things was not proper alignment for my body. So I was putting extra strain on my body for all of these years. And then I'm expecting with just a little bit of practice for everything to be perfect, for everything to be fine. And I'm not giving myself time to be in a healthy space. It takes time for us to unwind all of those thoughts, all of those patterns in our life. So if you've been in pain in your low back for a really long time, do not get discouraged. Do not get depressed or down about the fact that things aren't better immediately. This is not an instant gratification kind of thing. I know I'm getting really wordy and stuff. But I'm speaking to myself too, just as much as I'm speaking to you all. Give yourself time. Give yourself space. This is a journey. There's going to be good days, there's going to be bad days, but you're doing the work. Things are getting better. And when you're ready, feet are going to come back together or bending your knees, rocking over onto one side or the other, and gently pressing yourself back up to a seated position. Just honoring the space that you're in, grateful for this journey. Inhale, arms reach up overhead, and exhale, hands come down through heart center. Thank you so much for taking the time to finish up this series with me, Yoga for Back Pain. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, anything that you'd like to know about, even if I don't have the answer for you, I might be able to point you in the right direction. So reach out to me. Thank you so much. Blessings and namaste.